aligning with what our clients want. So those were the three main sort of criteria. I think what we recognised in the Philippines when we were looking at doing our sort of selection criteria was very much, we have a very large North American footprint. The Philippines has a really good alignment in terms of time zone, but also culturally with the opportunities that we see in North America. The quality of the English, which again is incredibly important as our primary business language, absolutely fundamental. But then most importantly was the breadth and depth of the talent that we saw in certainly the Metro Manila area, but actually more broadly in the Philippines. I think those are the main things. In terms of risks, is obviously how is the speed with which we can build capabilities and capacity to and integrate it with our own business. That's actually quite a shift. So that's one of the risks that we really most we acknowledged the most as we went through the process.
I'll just pick up, Mike, on the opportunity of the people power tech-enabled business as well. The people power only comes when you've got a mindset that continuous learning. And certainly from our early work before we make a decision, and it's happening now, it's just that appetite to continuously learn from the Filipino community is absolutely awesome, truly is. And that's really going to make a difference to how we deal with cyber going forward. As we know, it's a constantly evolving threat, and therefore our minds cannot be static, our minds has to learn. And so we're really excited about that.
Thanks so much, Elijah.
I just wanted to echo what Mike said earlier about the values. Very aligned, whether we're talking about the North American office, APAC, or the UK. The values that we hold here as Filipinos and the ways of working is very much aligned with the strategy of the business. And that's why it's very exciting. The risk side is, of course, like what you mentioned earlier, it's on how are we going to integrate that with the global. But you know how Filipinos are when it comes to ways of working, very resilient and adaptive, and so that didn't take that long either. So very exciting.
That's so wonderful, Sarah. Thank you so much for sharing that as well. Elijah, thank you for your question.
Thank you, Elijah.
Do we have a next question from the floor? Yes, go
Hi,
ahead.
Bob Reyes, Manila Bulletin Tech. When most tech companies are moving away from the physical office, why decide to have the physical office in Manila?
I think it's a really good question, and most organisations across the globe are really grappling with the work styles. However, when you come to cybersecurity, I think one of the things that we've certainly learned of looking at this is when you put the client at the heart of the problems, you need to drive collaboration, because nobody has a perfect playbook to cyber. If we did, cyber wouldn't be the headline day in, day out. And that's where it's important that we give that opportunity for collaboration. Yes, there's fantastic collaboration technology tools, but you can't beat people collaborating, sharing their experiences and learning together. But this is where probably we're quite unique, where we seize the opportunity coming out of the pandemic to recreate what the modern work community feels like. And you've had first-hand experience, because it's no longer just sat at your desk, collaborating at your desk. You collaborate on a basketball court, because there are challenges that we see, which particularly if you're sat at a screen, if you're coding, you can get really frustrated actually stepping away, shooting some hoops, asking a question of your colleague, going back, and you're going to see it. So from us, it's having a hybrid work style, but supported by a work community platform that really enables that to come to life.
Well, I just maybe slight add to that. A really deeply held belief and ethos of NCC is we build talent for the future. And the best way to build talent is in a truly learning environment. And I think in a services, people-oriented business, it is about actually having a people connection. And so we're really passionate about actually bringing people together in a hybrid way. We have to still acknowledge that, but I think having that centre of gravity and a place people want to come to. And again, significant investment in terms of the working environment, because people need to want to come to work. If it's a cold environment and it's sort of very sterile, none of us want to be there. But if it's collaborative, it's good, there's an experience to it, we believe that draws people in. That creates creativity, that enhances learning, and that creates a talent for the future that we want to do.
And a sort of final point I'll add as well, and this is from sort of my experience as well, is this is not, and you would have heard me speak, this is not us going just to hire experienced people. This is around building the talent for the future, and therefore we've been really fortunate that sort of 30% of our colleagues that we have, we're their first employer. We've got people who have come from school. So therefore, having a structure that means you're coming into the workplace is so important. It's that first stepping stone, and I've seen it across the globe where it's a challenge where you've got someone who's had a structure, i.e. go to school, go to college, you have to all of a sudden just be at home. You get demotivated, you don't get the ability to learn, and that's where, okay, coming back to it, building the right platform for that to happen.
We're really passionate about this part. This is actually really the centre of what we believe in. So it's you could probably we'll get very animated about this.
Yes. And if I may add, like, it's fascinating how a one cup in the back or having coffee can actually do to help each other, right? And I'll give you an example. Wave 1 started, and then they graduated, Wave 2 came in, and because they're all been here together, you'll say Wave 1, like hovering around someone else's, back and looking at each other and helping each other. Something that you won't can easily do when you are virtual, right? So fascinating to see.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Since
Bob.
we're in the topic of nurturing talent, what specific training will you be offering to the for them to stand out from the others?
Without going into the details of the training materials, but we have, as I have mentioned earlier, it's very comprehensively designed and tailored to the skill set that we are hiring as well. And it's very important that when you're designing a training, it's not just industry standard, it's not just this is the norm, this is the curriculum that is being offered now, but also looking at the talent pool, looking at the services that you cater to your client, and making sure that you tie them all together. And only then you can actually produce that quality people who's been trained with, well-thought training program, right? So at NCC Manila, we have 2 sets of training, junior and experienced program, because we have opened our doors to a diverse group of skills in Manila. We're not closing our doors for certain areas. We're open to it, and we make sure that we have the training to support them and grow them internally and in their future income.
And I think the other thing as well, when we refer to training, the mind naturally jumps to a textbook or some form of certification, but actually training is having access to global talent that we have. And that's what we're really excited is, whilst we set the office here, actually this is just the entry point to access so much global talent. And I mentioned it, just as one example of one of the secondees that we brought over here. Is a fantastic technician, won a global competition recently. So it's that on-the-job training. And I think therefore it comes back to that people, process, technology, being able to have those experiences as we go forward.
Thank you so much, Melon and Bob. As you can see, our executives and NCC group is very, very passionate and committed to really honing and developing the talent of the future, right? Especially with their experience. I did have, yes, Melvin? Oh, sorry, Dale, go ahead.
Dale from Inquirer. I'd like to ask, how exactly do you plan on train cybersecurity here in the Philippines? Because it's a really ubiquitous topic where it covers so many industries that it can be difficult for regular Filipino to understand how it works and how it could benefit them. So maybe you can shed some light on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think all of our executives actually have thoughts on that as well,
Yeah,
so please go ahead.
So just so I can clarify that. So it's how it affects them from a career point of view. Was that one?
Yeah, but regular Filipino, how does it benefit them? It can be difficult to explain sometimes. Yeah.
So the consumer industry.
Yeah.
I think there's, for me, one of the things about cybersecurity as a topic is actually, it's actually, as you say, a little bit mystifying. What I think our role is to be able to build the capabilities to be able to tackle the problem. I don't think we can change society overall, and I think that's a governmental component to that. but cybersecurity is so ubiquitous. It's technical. The amount of technology on this table is staggering. So it is about it's ingrained in everything we do. We've got to build a talent that is able to support the changing environment in which we're all now operating, and that's where we're really focused. So it is about we bring people through from a school level, from a graduate, and then they progress to become the people who lead cyber capability in a bank in the future, and that's really what we're focused on.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, and I just wanted to clarify the
Yes.
question as well. I think are you asking about how it is going to get accepted here in the Philippines, where the reception of cybersecurity in Manila? Look, for NCC, one of the initiatives that we have is that partnership, whether it's the university, whether it's industry, experts, right? You start from there, and then we have now a platform to bring in awareness, right? I think the awareness piece of cybersecurity in the Philippines is very minimal. I think one of the things that we need to really invest in as well, right? And that's where NCC Group is very much, open to give back to the community by sharing our expertise, our capability, and our people, and get out there and articulate cybersecurity in probably the layman's term and simplest thing, and what does it mean for specific audience as well. And I think NCC Group is a very good partner for private and government organization for us to add value to the community.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And I think that's also where the partnerships with the
Yes,
IDPAP, and we also
absolutely.
heard from the Department of Justice earlier about how we can actually work together and the relatability of cybersecurity in the market, right? So as people-powered organization, this is something that NCC is also driving.
The demystifying of cybersecurity.
Yes. Kevin, did you want to say something as well?
No, I think you covered it. I think the important thing is exactly that, demystifying. What does cybersecurity mean to individuals? Because it's a big topic, it's quite a scary topic at times. And it's building that awareness, whether it's to your consumer, whether it's to your SME, your large enterprise, and also putting the context of what it means to you in a certain country, in a certain competition. Because we can all look and say it's a scary world, but actually it's more about, well, what does it mean to me, what are the threats? And that's where we have a global threat intelligence capability that really helps organisations better understand the threats that they face. Because look, no one's got a sort of an open checkbook that says I'm just going to pay for whatever. It's more about actually what are the threats, what is it that I need to do, how can I have a journey to improve things. And certainly with NCC Group's reputation, we work with clients throughout as a journey. We build those trusted partnerships.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Dale, thank you so much for your question. Melvin, please go ahead.
Anyone can answer. I'd like to know how many employees are you planning to hire for this facility, and why did you choose this location? It's quite expensive here.
So plans continue to evolve. I think that's so we haven't set a specific number. I think what
But right now, how many do you have?
70 about 70.
70.
Yeah, so and that's the first tranche, if you like, of our development. But we haven't set it. That is not. We don't have a goal. Continue to evolve. It's a core component of our growth plan. Why did we choose here? I think it is really important about that working environment. It is a great place to work. It's a great place to walk out for lunch. So that experience for our people is absolutely fundamental. People have to want to come to work. So we were very keen to make sure it reflected that because it aligns exactly with our values and how we want to operate.
I think from NEO itself, when you look at the sustainability angle as well,
Yeah.
it's building us really at the cutting edge of sustainability. Again, really aligned with our brand. And of course, basketball court.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kevin. Tyra, did you want to add anything? you're good? Okay, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Melvin. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I'm Larissa Garcia from Manila Society. Follow up with that question, how's the turnout of the applicants? Or are you like, are there many interested applicants, or are you having a hard time qualifying?
You know, one of the things when we started, it's of course one of the questions that we will ask as a business is how fast or how slow are we gonna hire in Manila? This is our first office here in Manila, right? And our first engagement as a global company with Philippines. But I am glad to say that we have hired 60 employees. We were thinking about doing it in a 6 months time frame, but we were lucky enough to find great talents within 2 months. And one of the things is that, you know, it's just the word spread very fast, and you get referral from our own employees. Right? We work with partners as well in the industry who knows the Manila footprint. So all that comes together to get to where we are now with 70 employees. Are we gonna have a hard time in the future? I'm sure that we are equipped enough to do what we are gonna do this year. And of course, there's gonna be challenges along the way, but hey, we have great partnership now. We're working with the community. We're working with you all here, and that is a great thing. So.
I think so. I would just say something in terms of the macro environment. 20 years ago, cyber was sort of not a career. It was, you did IT, but it all at the time. That has totally changed. It is, and I would say this, it's an incredibly exciting domain to operate. It's incredibly diverse. It is constantly changing. It's highly dynamic. It's very creative. Back to the environment. That is an attractive environment, attractive career path for people now. We talk about the skills gap, the scale of the skills gap on a global basis around cybersecurity capability, and I think that attracts people. And I think people are very interested, and particularly the younger generation who see how they want to build a career. That's a domain they want to go into, and we've got a great track record, we've got a great reputation. If we build it more in the Philippines, it's just incredibly exciting for me as a sort of growing as a business, be able to tap into that in the Philippines.
And I'll just add to that as well, whilst we talk a lot about hiring, for me, it's about colleague experience. Because you can hire very easy, but if they don't have a good experience, they will leave very quickly. So therefore, it is about recognising, coming back to sort of the hybrid working, that having that environment where your work-life blend is okay. So if you want to avoid traffic and come here a few hours early and play basketball, sit, do some research, do some quiet time, that's okay. We all play board games. We've got an area for board games. So it's around that colleague experience which is so critical to us, and people knowing that they're going to come to work to have fun. We spend far too long at work to be unhappy, so how do you create that environment of fun? And for us, the positive is that flows through to our clients. It's always a happy colleagues, happy clients. And the feedback that we've got already from some of our clients is amazing. It truly is superb, it really is.
And I think it's really interesting when we see, we talk about hiring, and then it's, people have to stay with us for life. That's not the case. When we talk about a colleague's career, that might be with us, it might not be with us. They may come to us, learn some skills, go out into industry. That's brilliant because they may become our clients of the future. And so we have that alumni component to it. And actually we see this in some of our more established markets. We've said some of our most senior clients are former alumni of NCC Group. And we would love to see that kind of, back to the impact upon the wider society, is actually seeing our colleagues going out and becoming the leaders of the future around the cybersecurity agenda. I think that's again about developing that talent pipeline is phenomenal.
We're excited about that too, Mike.
Sorry. Again, that's the bit I like. Yes.
So generally, I could assume that what attract them most offline, besides the basketball, is a good compensation package, good.
We treat our colleagues well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Larissa. Any other question from the floor, please? Okay, so we'll have Miguel first and then Axel. Please go ahead.
Miguel from Business World. Can you tell me about the sectors or industries in the country that you're planning to, that you see like the most opportunity in cybersecurity, given that cybersecurity itself is a heavy topic in the Philippines with all the news coming up? What sectors or industries are you planning to benefit with your arrival in the Philippines?
Thanks, Miguel. So this is very early days. I wouldn't say I'm an expert on the Philippine market. Talking more broadly, where do we see the most challenges from a cybersecurity perspective in terms of particular industries and verticals? The natural ones we look at is obviously those which are either heavily regulated or have incredibly sensitive information. So naturally, the public sector is obviously one where we see a lot of attention on this as a topic. The other areas are, again, where there is either a significant amount of intellectual property or there is a potential financial downside in terms of compromise. So that would naturally lead yourself to, in the regulators, the IP space would be things like pharmaceuticals, for example, or technology industries. We also see, obviously, the financial services sector is one where naturally they're a particular target for attackers. So those are the most obvious ones. If we look more broadly in the future, we're seeing a convergence between information technology and operational technology. So in manufacturing, in smart factories, in production, that's where we see that, again, the disruption from attack is quite significant. So those would be the ones we most naturally see.
Thank you very much, Miguel. Thank you, Mike. We do have a question from Excel.
Hello, yes, good afternoon. I'm Excel from the Red Circle. You've mentioned about partnerships with IBPAP and other different government agencies. Can you expound further on how you guys work together as a team?
Yeah, I'm going to talk more broadly about relationships and collaboration. And when you look at cybersecurity and you look at those that want to attack us, they collaborate. They don't have boundaries. They don't have judicial restrictions. So therefore, you have to be open-minded around collaboration. And I guess from a personal perspective, I've got collaboration that runs through. I came from law enforcement, 20 years in law enforcement, where you couldn't be conducting those inquiries if you didn't have collaboration. I flipped to the other side, and therefore it makes it natural for me. But NCC Group is wholly invested to build the right partnerships. If you look at, for example, in the UK, we've been a founding partner with the National Cybersecurity Centre. Since it inaugurated, we have members of our team that are working there day in, day out. We work with the likes of Interpol, other government organisations, as well as, for example, we support sort of initiatives from sort of World Economic Forum, Cyber Alliance, and it's around actually what is right to help further sort of NCC Group's sort of mission in terms of helping secure a more digital future, and at the same time what the country's missions are. And really under the sort of CEO's leadership, it is a direction that as NCC, we need to make sure that we're having the right impact in society. Yes, there continues to be the sort of commercial elements which will always be important to our shareholders, but actually making sure that we have an impact. And just about all colleagues across NCC Group, they want to make sure they're having an impact. They want to make sure that the services that we provide are going to make a difference, because ultimately, we, believe it or not, are consumers and the recipients of our own services. By the fact that we support banks, we work with those banks, we bank with those banks, it's always in our interest that we're having the right level of impact. So it is all about those right collaborations, being open-minded and really aligning on your purposes and your vision.
Thank you so much, Kevin, as well. I know that talking about partnerships, Syra, you were also mentioning about partnerships with universities and educational institutions before, right?
Yeah, absolutely. With universities, where can, as a private organization, where can we add value? When you say adding value, what does it mean? It's multiple things, right? With universities, we need one of the things that we want to do is to develop talent, right? And developing talent can start early stage, like in the university, or it could be during the training in their employment. And NCC Group is going to invest in both areas, whereby we're going to work with universities and tailor curriculum, work together to make sure that we have graduates that are ready to take on cybersecurity profession in the future. And that we have NCC Group as a private entity to help those fresh university graduates apply that in their real working space and develop them throughout their career in NCC or otherwise, right, in the future. So that's very important when it comes to partnership, and that level of collaboration is going to be very important.
And we're so happy that NCC Group is here because you are really bridging so many partnerships together. So thank you so much also for this wonderful story here in the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just a few more minutes actually with our executives, so maybe just the last two questions. So yes, sir, please go ahead, Riz.
Good afternoon. How do you assess the competition in the Philippine market? Since we are an American influence country, with the entry of British technology,
I'll probably take it out a level. Yes, from a competitive, you look at other people in the market. If we were winning against the bad guys, it's a problem. But as we are, as with any country, there is enough space. And this is coming back to sort of Mike's point, is we're gaining more and more knowledge of the actual Filipino market, working with the likes of IBPAP, because it's about adding additional capacity. It's not just coming here to compete and offer the same services as everybody else. It's making sure that we can really differentiate and add further capacity into the Philippines. So, it's not to be complacent, but I'm confident that we will bring something different to help with improving the Filipino cybersecurity.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you, Riz, for that question. One last question from the group. Yes, go ahead, Glenn.
I'm Lai from Line Bites. My question would be for public sector, because I used to work for the government and I have a bit of an idea of and cybersecurity and all the issues that happens also in the I just won't name names, but I handle the related project involving technology. So anyway, I had an opportunity also to discuss something with the Philippine Air Force, and they actually, their IT or cybersecurity team actually had started creating on-site, databases, etc., because they also want to prevent hacking, of course. And from what I've gathered from my discussion with their former head, is that their concern, I think, is the cloud. Really, right? Because I think for them it's not as secure as what it seems. What other factors do you think are there that can probably be, that can probably affect, say for example, security in terms of military or sensitive information? Because if these things get hacked, right, flights can crash, can read out or whatnot. So I was just wondering if there are things that maybe we don't see. Because I'm not an IT person, I just happen to be exposed to it.
I think firstly it's a fantastic question. We should be able to answer this in about the next hour. But no, I think, so when you talk about the cloud, we went into the pandemic and people were on a journey to the cloud. We came out of the pandemic to find yourself in a hybrid multi-cloud environment. And so therefore cloud adoption was accelerated, but what wasn't accelerated was operational processes. So unfortunately many organisations had taken their previous ways of working in operational ways, how they shift data, and literally moved it to the cloud. So therefore, and we see this around sort of digital optimization across many of our clients, where they're almost taking a step back now. And the important thing is to understand actually what visibility have you got of your new infrastructure in this hybrid multi-cloud environment. Actually, where is your data? How does your data flow? Because you may have, for example, data in 2 or 3 clouds. but you have an application that causes that data to move left, move right, move left, move right. And every time that data becomes then in transit, your data becomes a little bit more vulnerable. So it's important that visibility, understanding your data flow, and then understanding actually what's the classification of that data, and that's the key bit, is actually what is the data that you really need to protect, and then what are the controls that you're going to have. So it is a defense in depth, but it is really looking at your end-to-end architectural perspective, and then putting the relevant controls around the data, understanding the sensitivity of it.
I'll touch on 2 points, maybe 1 hour each. I think the first thing to say is we are in a constantly evolving environment. So what we think is completely secure now won't be completely secure in the future. So I think being able to keep up with that is actually a significant challenge. The first thing I'd say is when we're starting to look at something which underpins all of our security, which is cryptography. That is constantly evolving, and older algorithms are becoming less secure. We are going to head into a world of post-quantum cryptography. Post-quantum computing, which will break all of our cryptography that we've got now.
Yeah.
So actually, how are we going to address that? So I think these things are constantly evolving. We have to have an eye to that in the future. The second thing I would say is, in terms of security, is that world of information technology and operation technology. We had a world which was built on factories, oil rigs, which were mechanical. That is becoming digitalised, and that is moving into the realm and all the risks that we had in the IT environment. And those are colliding, and many organisations are not set to be able to manage the risks arising from that. And we've seen significant publicly available breaches where entire manufacturing processes have been offline for weeks as a result of those breaches. And it's those sorts of areas where I think, quite honestly, many organisations are complacent and have not addressed it. So that to me is why we are in a constantly evolving world, and we're not always as confident, we're not always quite as quick to evolve as we think we are.
And as a group, you guys are also focusing on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look on some of our recent, one of the things we do, which I'm incredibly proud of, is that we contribute, again, from our impact on society, is we allow a lot of our consultants to do independent research. With thousands of days of research. So we contribute that research back to the security industry. So we discover vulnerabilities, we report on vulnerabilities. Our chief scientist recently gave evidence at the UK Parliament on security implications of AI. So we contribute that. And I think that's incredibly important. And what does differentiate NCC actually? We're not a vendor. We are absolutely heart and soul in the security industry, and we contribute on that basis.
And that's why, Line, we're so happy that they're here, because they are helping us with awareness, building those partnerships, right? And an excellent question. Thank you also for...
We can share that if it's of interest. We do have a 2024 predictions piece that talks about many of the things I've just talked about, AI, quantum computing, OT, IT. So if anybody's interested, we're very happy to share that.
And I think just to sort of re-emphasise, hopefully on this point, it really does for us bring home the people-powered element. The tech, we're fortunate to have a number of relationships with tech providers across the world. We let the tech providers invest in that tech. What we bring is the people-powered element that really brings it to life.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we